Welcome to Making Conversations Count, the podcast that brings you business leaders sharing their pivotal moments, a story and a conversation that has really been a turning point in their lives. And today I have the very delicious Kim Walsh-Phillips. Hello, Kim. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. This is such a pleasure.
I was so excited when I got the confirmation that you went, yeah, I'd love to do this. So, Kim, tell everybody what you do now and how you serve.
I work with entrepreneurs who have great businesses, but they're tired of relying upon word of mouth and referrals in order to grow. And they want to take growth of their business into their own hands, but technology totally freaks them out. And so they know they need to use social media to get out there and get the word out, but they're not quite sure how. And I help show them exactly how they can do it so they can be empowered to do it themselves.
Well, that's brilliant, because certainly now more than ever, we can't go and do the face-to-face meetings. You know, networking has gone online, hasn't it? We've got to be able to reach people in new ways more than ever before, whether we like it or not. So it's great that you do that. Is it course content? Do they get you? How does it work for them to be able to learn that?
We have free content, we have courses, we have coaching programs, and we have virtual events. So it's a variety. It goes all the way from learning completely on your own to us doing it with you. So it's a wide range of levels, but typically people will come in either from having read one of my books or heard me speak somewhere or clicking on one of my ads, and then they'll get a free piece of content, and then we'll end up enrolling in a course, and then they go on to a coaching program with us.
So clearly the value is that the material that you've written in your books is kind of the starting point of them getting to know you, and that you do know what you're talking about, Kim, don't you really? I didn't know until after you'd agreed to come on the show and somebody said, oh, Kim, she's brilliant. Have you seen her on Facebook? I hang out on LinkedIn, not on Facebook. So I was like, this lady really does know how to do this shizzle.
This is one of the things about my coaching style is I will never teach something I haven't implemented successfully for at least 90 days. Because there are people who also do something successfully and it works for them for a week and they go and teach it. But we know a lot of strategies can work for a little tiny bit, but then they dissolve. So I never teach something that doesn't work. And one of the main things I teach people, especially when they're first getting involved with social media, is how to quickly grow their audience. And I have over 1 million followers on Facebook that I have grown from my own audience, right? So I show people how to do that. So I'm living proof of how it works before I ever try to teach something.
Do you know what, Kim? I'm going to have to get myself on one of those courses, I think. I've been watching some of the videos that you do to your audience, and you're a really chatty lady. You tell it how it is, and you've been there. And that's clear that you're not sort of sitting in this position of success and going, hey, look at me. You're like, come on, guys, come and join me. It's brilliant over here. And that's amazing to see that passion for other people to do well.
I've had a whisper from God for a very long time that I went through all that I went through with the struggles and trials and tribulations and bankruptcy to working all hours of the night for a reason. And that was because my mess was going to become my message, not so that I could get paid hundreds of $1,000s to speak on a stage of people who would do nothing with it, but so I could work with the action takers who could shortcut their map, their road to success and achieve what they've been created to do. And so my sole purpose for living, besides being a mama to my kids and a great wife to my husband, is to empower entrepreneurs so that they can fulfill the purpose of why they're here on this earth. So thank you for saying that, because that's truly why I share my story and my strategies out in the world.
There's many that don't want to give it away. So I'm glad that you do the work that you do. You touched on there a little bit on the trials and tribulations of your life. So I'm kind of now wondering if that's leading up to the question that I ask everybody to come and share their pivotal moment and that conversation that created a turning point. So Kim, tell us your story, please.
As any great entrepreneur will tell you, there have been many pivots. There's not just one, but I'll pick just one. I've owned my company for 20 years, so there's been many. But one of the major turning points in our company was that I was looking to scale. We had 30 clients at a maximum, and it was exhausting. We could never go past it. And I felt this calling to serve more people, but I really didn't know how. I was relying upon word of mouth and referrals to grow. And so I knew I needed to do something different. And I'm someone who believes that you follow the Tony Robbins philosophy, that you find people who have achieved the success you want and you copy what they do and you'll have that same success. So I was listening to an audiobook. It was actually Russell Brunson's Expert Secrets, which is one of my favorite audiobooks I've ever listened to. So those of you who are looking to create your company, it's a great one to listen to. And all of a sudden, I heard him give this strategy. And it was that when he was looking to grow his business, he did a webinar, and not a different webinar every week, which is what I'd been doing. We've been doing launches and webinars and pitches, but he had actually gotten a piece of pivotal advice in his world, which was he was going to do the same webinar every single week for an entire year. And it hit me like a bolt of lightning, like, this is it. Instead of constantly recreating launches, we're going to nail one perfect message that we can do over and over again, instead of creating all this extra work to create things over and over again. So I committed that week that I was going to do my webinar every single week. And I did it every single week for over 2 years. I did it 119 times. We generated over $1.7 million in revenue from that one webinar within a year. And we were able to scale our business. When I sold my agency, those 30 clients, I knew right away where I was going to put all of the cash that I got in the sale of my business, which is what I did. I used all of it to buy traffic, to send people into my webinar, because we had uncovered how we could successfully take people from knowing nothing about us to becoming a raving fan customer within 3 clicks.
That's awesome, because you've done what everybody says, niche, rinse, repeat, keep doing it until your fingers bleed and your throat's hoarse. And look at what happened.
It's like not even crazy, but we see that as crazy. Sticking with the same thing until you make it better. I think we're all so likely to do lots of little things hoping to achieve the results we want, instead of making the one thing we're trying to do better. That's where we fail. We don't stick with it because we get bored or we want to do something different. And yes, I got bored. And yes, I wanted to do something different, but it was the most profitable hour of my week, every single week. And it allowed us to grow in such a big way. And so I think when you're looking to grow, especially from the beginning, the secret is not to do 100 things. I think one of the worst marketing messages that is out there are the people who say you need to be everywhere. That is terribly dangerous, because then you're going to be nowhere very strongly, right? You need to pick 2 to 3 marketing strategies that you go super deep into before you do anything else in your business.
Well, there's no point in reinventing the wheel all the time either, is there? And as somebody who's delivered sales and marketing workshops with the same content over and over to hundreds of delegates, I know that every single time we delivered it, we uncovered a little tiny new piece to add to it. So it got better and better every time that we delivered it. So do it once and do it again and again and again until the point that you are on autopilot.
Mm-hmm.
But when you've got people that are listening to what you're sharing, their passion feeds you, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And then this is the crazy thing. Because we had perfected it, because I'd gone so deep into it, I became an expert in it, which is what happens over time. No one named me the expert. I didn't go get a certification. None of that happened. By me doing it over and over again, and each time finding ways to make it better, I became the expert. And now people pay us. We have a coaching program. The whole purpose of it is to show people how to launch their first signature course, use a webinar to sell it, and scale it to a 7-figure business. That's a coaching program. And so you can, over time, go from knowing nothing about how to do something to literally becoming the leading expert, not by someone having a magic wand or fairy dust coming from the sky, but instead by staying consistent with what you're doing.
And the other point to pick up there is that you said you did it 119 times.
Yeah.
How many people will stick at it for that long?
Right.
There is no such thing as overnight success.
Exactly. There is no such thing. That's one of my biggest things to our newbies, especially because I work with so many people trying to become coaches. You cannot compare my chapter 20 to your introductory chapter. My introduction looked a lot different than what my life looks like right now. I only got here because I did those other things. People have the hardest time with growing their own business, expect things to be at stage 20 on day one. Right? They want that moment of like, doesn't this all work out? Where's my people to do all my things? Like, no. You got to put the work in the beginning. You get to live that other part of it after you've done that. For you to make this work, you have to be willing to do the work.
That is just so true. Who was the special guest that just made an appearance? For those listeners, we had a special guest then. You're tuning into WAG and we have a special WAG just turn up.
That's my Daisy. And she loves to hang out over here and see her reflection in the window of my cabinet and start barking at herself. So the only way I can get her to stop is to pick her up, pet her for a little bit, make her want to go run. So that's how that works.
Oh, it was lovely to see her. She looks like great company. Well, Kim, thank you so much for giving me your time today and for the listeners and sharing your pivotal moment. I'm sure that will encourage people to just press on. Keep going. If you're an action taker, you'll get there.
That's exactly right.
If people want to pick up the conversation with you, Kim, they can find you hanging out on Facebook, can't they?
They can. My name is Kim Walsh-Phillips. I'm the only one of them with that name. So you can find me there. And my website is powerfulprofessionals.com.
Oh, fabulous. Thank you so much for your time, Kim. And to the listeners, make sure you subscribe. Tell us what you think in the comments. And don't forget, you can find all previous episodes on www.makingconversationscount.studio/podcast. It's been an absolute blast. Thank you so much, Kim.
Thank you, Wendy.